guys, today I'm going to make a dark orchestral loop. I'm going to show you how I like to do it, and let's get straight into this video. You want to open up Contact. First, I like to start with the piano for the loop. I like to construct the loop around the piano. I feel like it's the centerpiece, but you can start with anything you want. The piano really has two roles. It could be supportive, or it could be the main driving force. So what I like to do, I like to go to options and then settings, and what I do, I go to project and change the numerator to 3 from 4, so it puts in 3/4 time signature, and it just really helps you get the bounce for it. And I'm gonna change it back to 4/4, but I explain why I like to do it anyway. So so first I'm gonna start with the bass notes. You don't need any music theory for this, just play around with whatever sounds good. So I'm gonna start with D here. Oh, not that low. Let's put that up. It's not gonna work. It is not gonna work. Okay, so I'm gonna start with this D here, and I'm gonna drag it all the way and then replay it. Then I'm gonna go down for this note. So this sounds in key. If you know music theory, that's even better, but you don't really need to know it anyway. Cool. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna copy all of this. So duplicate it, and I'm gonna put an octave up, and then now I'm gonna highlight all of it, hit Alt and S, and then change this little tension up here so it kind of strums the piano. And you can change the velocity of it as well. And then now I'm gonna cut off this little extra part because it runs off the whatever. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add one note or maybe 2 different notes, and I'm gonna add it on top of this little part here, just to add some bounce to the loop. So nothing really crazy, you just wanna add something that supports it. So and I'm gonna turn the velocity down on it as well. And now I'm just gonna copy it to the second part, and the reason why it fits in because it's in the same key. Again, you don't really need music theory for this. So okay, cool. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add a top melody to this because we have the bass frequencies covered and a bit of the mid. So for a good orchestral loop, you want to cover a range of frequencies in the piano because the piano is kind of like the backbone, it supports all of it. So again, just play around with it and turn the velocity down so it doesn't hit too hard, because with the piano dynamics, when it's too hard and it's a high note, it doesn't really sound that great. And now that I've got this part, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna copy it again. So you see how I do a lot of copying? It has a lot of repetition, and that's what makes it sound really nice. You want a recurring pattern in your loops, and that's what makes it sound really complete. So I'm gonna copy this, and then what I like to do, I copy it for the second part of it when the key or the note changes, the key is still the same. Then I put it an octave higher. So if I play it back, it sounds like this. So now I'm gonna leave the piano for now. What I also like to do, I like to Alt R, and this randomizes the velocity to make it a bit more realistic. So you can put it on bipolar, or you can turn it off, but just, yeah, don't move it too much, just a tiny bit. So now it sounds like this. That's the piano done. We're gonna move on to the next part of the loop. So now I've opened some strings from Violin strings. I opened violas, and I like violas because they had a really nice feel to the loop. They cover the mid frequencies and they have a really nice support. So you don't really go crazy on the violas, you just want something nice that fits in with the piano. So you can use the root notes of the piano. So the root note is just a bass note, so there's D. But you can just have it play around. Normally I don't put it on the root notes because I use a cello for that because it's really deep and dark, so I support it with other notes. Play around with it, see what fits in to have a fiddle around. Here I've had a bit of a play around, and again, nothing crazy, just 2 notes on the bass and then just 2 notes below and then change the notes at the top. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna copy this whole thing and paste it because I like to have 2 sections of the loop. So I'm gonna do the same for the violas. I might change the notes later, but for now I'm gonna keep it like this. So now I've opened some Violin 1 strings. So on this library you have Violin 1, Violin 2 strings. Violin 1 mainly are for like the melodic stuff, and then Violin 2 just adds support to it. So use whatever one you want to use. So with this you can go a little bit crazy, you can just add whatever you want, but again, don't keep changing it too much, you want it to fit in the pattern of it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to play around with some high notes and then get back to this. So again, play around with what sounds in key, and that's what you really need to do. Also change the key of it, so if I change the piano, if I make it go down 2, then I also have to do the same for everything else. But sometimes I just don't like how it sounds on that key, and I'll just have a little play around with it. So nothing too dark. So here I've just added a bunch of notes to it, and here's what it sounds like now. So I'm going to add a few more notes to the top of the piano just to kind of add to the feel of it, to the bounce of the loop. So I'm going to just play around. Make sure when you play around, it's always in key. That's the main rule. You don't really need any music theory. Just go with what you feel. This music's about feeling, so just go for it. So what I ended up doing, instead of added the notes to the top, I ended up adding it to this part here. Whatever I don't like that sound at the top, all I literally do is select it and then put an octave down. So now it sounds much fuller. So yeah. Oh, I don't know what I just did. So this is what it sounds like. I'm gonna add a top melody to it, but nothing too crazy again. Okay, so now I've had a play around and I pitched it down, so just adding some more notes to it. Again, it looks very complicated, but as you break it down into the steps, here are your bass notes, your root notes, here's your support notes. These are the ones we copied here, and then the rest you can just add, and now it goes crazy. So this is what it sounds like. So now I've loaded up a mallet, well, Maliflux, and I like to use the Celesta or the Glockenspiel. Depends which one you like, but I just like Celesta because it's just soft and it really blends in. Has a nice reverb to it as well. So when I add the bells, I don't like to put it in too much. I like to use it in key places where the melody kind of shifts. So at the start, it kind of shifts, and then there's going to be notes leading towards the second part, and then it shifts again. So I like to add the bell, kind of like it announces a shift or just something. So I've identified the starts of these parts to be the changing parts. I feel like it is, but you can put it anywhere you want. You don't have to put it at the start of it. Now I'm just gonna copy it, but then I might change it. Add some simple choir vocals to it. These are just one articulation, so just like the oohs, your ahs. But I'm gonna go for an because I don't know, it feels like it'll go really nicely on it. So for this, you don't want to add it too much because it kind of disrupts it. You want the instruments to also have its part, so just add it where necessary. So again, I'm quickly just dibble and dabble. This is all you really need. You just have, if I separate the channel, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 instruments, and then like the vocals here, and that's all you really need, to be honest. So for the loop, I might just use one element, and then I'm gonna move on to like the next part here. So I put a reverb track on the top, on the master. I like to use Cinematic Rooms Professional because it just sounds really good, and there's so many to choose from. So I like the Hall preset, there's so many. So I'm gonna use the dark Hall. And I like to change this knob here, so it's not full reverb like that. So now we're not actually done, because this is the part where it's kind of messy and tricky, but once you nail it, it's good. So when you go to file settings, remember how we created all of this in 3/4? You want to change this back to 4/4, because that's how beats, or pretty much every beat I've heard is in 4/4. So now we're gonna have some timing issues here, because if I play the metronome back, it's not like this. So as you can see, it's like just a bit too early. Is it early? Yeah, or late, I'm not too sure. So now you have to pay attention. So before we had 4 bars, well, 4 bars. So like if you go on this part, that's 1 2 3 4, 1 2 4. We want it to go up to 9. We don't want it to go up to here. We want it to go here. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna highlight all of this, and then we click this magnetic button here, and we want to go to 3rd beat. And what we're gonna do is use this little kind of thingy there, arrow, and then we want to shift everything so it doesn't end at 13, it ends at 9. I'm gonna move it all the way. And the best way to do it is check for your bottom notes to see if they end on the actual part. So you might need to make a few more I can't speak today. Few more whatevers, and then now when we play it back, I play it here. It's in time, but then because the tempo is so high, we're just gonna turn it down. You can also click Control Q on 3rd beat and it quantizes it on time, but because I have some notes that are strummed, I don't want to do that. I could do it now. Something weird just happened. Okay, so you hit Control Q, and then whatever notes are strummed, you're just gonna have to do it again. So you highlight it, click OS, and then boom, you get that. I'm actually gonna slow this down because it's way too fast. Or what I can do, I could stretch it, but then again it'll be a bit too slow. And I might even turn this up as well, as in the pitch. So I'm gonna do it for all of them, and then we'll get into the next part. Okay, so now I've cleaned everything up, and what I did for the second part, I put the piano melody an octave up. So for this beginning part, I'm just gonna add one more addition. So I'm gonna add some spiccato strings to it, because I wanna add some more bounce to it. So now I've loaded up some spiccato cello from Contact. So I'm just gonna add some notes. Bear in mind you have to do it in 3rd beat, because these are all triplet notes now when you kinda stretched it in, because went to 3/4 and 4/4. So I'm gonna have to do times it by 4 divided by 3. Okay, yeah, so it's just triplets. Wait, I think I'm waffling in you, but yeah, so just play around with it again, but you don't want to go crazy, just add to the feel of it. I'm just gonna change the cello because I don't really like how it sounds. So I'm gonna try a different spiccato cello. So now I've finished the cello part. Didn't really explain that much, but again, it's the same concept with everything else. You got your bass notes here, then you add some other notes to the bounce, and then you just copy it and put an octave up. So this top part is literally just the same as the bottom part. So that's the same, that's the same, that's the same, that's the same there. So now it sounds like this all together. So guys, that's it. We've made a nice little loop. You can go on the master and boost the high frequencies. So I like to use a plugin called Fresh Air. Just makes, don't know the keyword, but just adds some sparkle and shine to it. Then I might add a bit of reverb to the vocals just to make it a bit more airy, but nothing too much. So I like to use this reverb and go to concert, turn this mix knob down a bit. And guys, that's it. Hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Comment any ideas you want in the future. So if you want me to make a loop and a beat tutorial, I can make one of those as well. And also any other types of tutorials you want. So do you want virtual loop tutorials, guitar loop tutorials? So any of that will be appreciated. And check out my loop packs from before as well. And have fun. Anyways, see ya.